This entitled actor thinks that he can demand a job from his friend just because they know each other. The only problem is when his friend offers him an audition, it's not good enough for him, leading to a hilarious consequence. Happy birthday, today's your birthday and on with the revamped show. Okay, so I have a friend who is an aspiring actor. Like all aspiring actors, he's broke. He hasn't been in any productions, theatre, short films, feature films, not even commercials. He has literally zero real life experience in front of a camera outside of whatever they did in uni. Meanwhile, I've never studied acting, yet I have real life experience in front of a camera, and even behind it, self-taught. When I first began, no one would give me auditions because I had no education or experience, so I made my own short film and monologues to get me that experience. I started getting auditions and gigs, starting with unpaid, then eventually getting paid for it. Fast forward 3 years after I began acting, I met people who knew people, and my monologues were put in the eyes of important people. I get called in and offered a role in a popular TV series that's on Netflix. I obviously accept in a heartbeat. It's got a sad ending. My friend catches wind of this and asks if I can get him an audition. I take it up with the CD, and he said once he gets some experience, he'll get him an audition. I tell my friend that, and he says, why can't I just get an audition there? Probably because there's people out there with more experience dying for this opportunity. But okay, we'll move on. I have friends who run a small filming company, and they're casting for an unpaid role in a short film. I ask them if my friend can audition for it. They say sure. I call him to tell him the great news, and this is our exchange. Hey man, I got good news. I got you an audition in a short film, 10 to 15 minutes runtime, and it's an interesting script. It's unpaid, but all you need is some experience before you can audition for TLK. Nah, I'm good. Why? It's unpaid. Why would I work for free? To get much needed experience with a credible company? I don't work for free. In acting, you need to start off with unpaid work. Why can't you get me an audition at TLK? Because you don't have any experience. Just tell them I'm a great actor. You have no experience. Whatever, bro. A couple weeks go past and he calls me. When's my audition for TLK? You don't have one? What do you mean I don't have one? I told you, get experience and then you get the audition. I already told my family that I got the role. Why would you do that? Because you said you can get me an audition. Yes, if you have experience. And even with experience, the most I could get you was an audition. What the frick? Okay, I'll do the stupid short film. They've already got a lead. Too late. Then get me another audition. No, later bro, I'm busy. Didn't speak to him for over a year. Last I know, he's working in a bottle shop. It's not even really limited to just acting. A lot of professional jobs you have to have some sort of work experience. Or if you're learning a trade, you'll get very underpaid while you're a trainee, until eventually you're qualified. Why should it be any different if you're an actor? Production companies are going to want the most capable people, and that's going to mean people with experience. So the store I work at happens to have a bakery that is connected to a main bakery in another city. Customers order cakes and we get them delivered from the main bakery every day. But in case customers didn't have time to place an order before they needed it, or in most cases were just too lazy, we also have dozens of assorted frozen cakes in a display next to the bakery. And if they needed writing on it, we could write on it with icing. Now me, I don't work in the bakery, but recently, I've been practicing my writing with the manager, in case nobody is in the bakery to write on a cake if a customer needs it. The problem is, I'm just a beginner. I don't have a lot of confidence in my skills yet, so I normally go and get another person that knows how to write on a cake, so I don't mess it up. I didn't think I was that bad, until I met this one lady and her daughter. The cast, me, manager, and hip grandma. It was a fairly slow evening when I get a call to help someone at the bakery. The people working there usually leave around dinner time, so people at my department usually have to help customers instead. As soon as I get there, I saw that it was one of those hip grandmas you see on greeting cards. She has all the traits: sunglasses, a pink #1 grandma t-shirt, hot pink dyed hair with white roots. Dead serious. and the look of entitlement you could only get out of a senior citizen that knew all the tricks to getting what they wanted. She and her daughter had one of those frozen cakes from the display and asked if I could write on it for them, and I was very honest and I warned them, I don't have much experience so I might not be the best at it.
Oh no, this cake needs to be beautiful. It's for my grandson.
I can go find someone who can probably write better than me.
Please do, and hurry, the party is tomorrow.
Kinda confused why it's so urgent if it's not needed by then, but oh well. I run off looking for the people who I know can write on a cake. Unfortunately, none of them were there, so I headed back to the bakery. Sure enough, they were still there, waiting for me, and looked rather disappointed when I came back alone. I'm sorry ma'am, I can't find somebody else who can write on the cake, so if you want, I can try to...
No, you'll ruin it. Don't worry, honey.
Literally after saying I'll ruin her cake.
My son is a baker manager at...
Insert national retail store here.
He'll write on it for me. Thank you.
So she and her daughter waddle off into the store, the blank cake in her cart. I shrugged and said, have a nice day, like I normally do, and head back to work. The very next day, I had just clocked in when I was called up to the office by the manager, the boss. Sure enough, over at the office, I saw the exact same pink-haired lady as the previous day. Looked absolutely enraged. When I got there, she gave me the look, like I had just killed her Pomeranian or something. Manager looked rather upset too, as he was holding a phone, her phone.
Did you write on a cake for this lady last night?
Well, I was going to, but...
You did, and you ruined my grandbaby's birthday with your crappy writing. Give me my phone.
Manager gives her the phone and she shows me a picture. Sure enough, it was the exact same cake, but even though I wasn't a cake decorating expert, I knew it looked really bad. The cake was white with blue, yellow and orange dots on the side, and 2 red and blue balloons on the top. The writing was in pink, really dark pink. Not as pink as her hair though, but even I knew that color did not blend with the rest of them. And I don't have a picture, but the writing looked like this. Happy birthday, Jaden! Not the real name. Now, I wouldn't be fuming mad if the writing was that bad on my birthday cake, but I'm in my 20s and this is for a kid. I'm assuming a fairly young kid. I would understand getting a little annoyed if it looked like that too. Only problem is, I didn't write it. I didn't write that.
Well, it's one of our cakes and you were here last night, and she said you came to help her.
Yes, he did, and he was saying how much he hated writing on cakes and refused to get another person to write on it for me.
Well, ma'am, I was here last night.
So?
And I saw him run up here looking for someone else to write for you, but there was nobody.
Yeah, and didn't you say you would get your son to write on it for you?
Are you saying my son wrote this crap on my grandson's birthday cake? He's a professional. He can write better than you could ever wish you could.
Okay, ma'am, you're starting to step out of...
I want a refund for this cake.
Me ever so curious. Well, where is it?
What?
The cake. You have to have it with you to get a refund.
Don't you have a job to get to? Or maybe you won't after we're done here.
Actually, he's right. You do need to have the cake and your receipt with you to get our policy.
We offer a 200% refund policy, meaning if a product is damaged, you can get a new one and your money back.
I think you should go.
Okay, sorry.
Wait, apologize for this crappy writing.
But I didn't...
Apologize or you will make your store lose my business forever.
At this point, I can tell manager wanted to be done with this lady as much as I did, so I put on my best acted performance and apologized profusely. I really did feel bad for the kid, but not for her. I went to my post and stayed there, quiet for a while, until I met up with manager again later that night, who came back to see me, and he told me what happened after I had left them there. Apparently, Choosing Beggar demanded me to be fired for my sloppy handwriting. Manager tried to explain that I technically wasn't trained to write on cakes yet, I was just practicing, so she should forgive me if it wasn't as good as she wanted, but she still demanded my termination. Eventually, M warned her that she needed to leave or he will call security. That was when she started blaming M for my mistake, which was never my mistake in the first place, asking him how could he hire such bad workers, and doesn't he know the customer's always right? Finally, CB waddled out the door. No refund, nor did she get a new cake. He told me not to worry, as he actually did call the security officer and had him check the tapes from the previous night. Sure enough, they confirmed I did offer to write on the cake, but they refused and left with the cake anyway. He had a feeling, since she brought up her son, that she was defending him for his crappy handwriting, even though he was supposedly a bakery manager. We had a good laugh, and he left me to my work. Only lesson I took from this? Never trust old ladies with tie-dye hair. So I heard this story today from my mother. It happened a month ago at my little sister's daycare. My mother has low blood sugar level and kidney problems, which are important later in the story. My sister's daycare was preparing for a parents' meeting and needed some food donations, which, by the way, only my mother was asked to bring. My mother heard the arrangers telling other parents that they didn't need to bring food in because they had enough food already. Meanwhile, they gave my mum a big list of foods she must bring. The list ranged from dry cured sausages to a sweets and large cake. After my mother told them she couldn't bring all this stuff due to them being very expensive, and we were running short on money this month, like the food they asked could easily fill up 20 adults. She said that every other parent was requested to bring the same amount of food. Lies. So the time comes and she had bought almost everything she could get, which hit us hard in the nuts that month. At the meeting, my mother had forgotten her water bottle and didn't get a chance to buy drink or food that whole day because of the extra work and stress she got. She started losing consciousness and asked nicely if she could get a glass of water, in which the worker said, "Fine, but you have to pay €1 for that, for tap water." Okay, my mother responded, "No problem." They then bring the food and everything on the table was my mother's donations. At that time, she is starving and tries cutting a small piece of her own cake. But no, you should pay a tip of €20 first to get access to your own buffet, says the arranger. My mother is livid at this point. She starts screaming at them, telling them that not only did they single her out, but also demanded money for the food that she brought in. They get mad at her for not wanting to donate, but Mum was having enough that day and decided it is not worth her health. A week later, they give her another list of foods she must bring because the kids are having a party. She laughs and tells them to ask the other parents because she had brought enough already. I understand having to deal with bad parents at a daycare, but to single out my poor immigrant single mother to host freaking parties and meetings and to give tips is just trashy. You can tell that the people who are arranging these parties at the daycare center must just churn through parents like this, like completely use pushovers, and then once they've gotten their use out of them, they just move on to the next one. Meanwhile, they just enjoy all the benefits from it, and yet they still get to look like the good guy as they're raising money with the donations. Hey everyone, today I have a CB story for you. A couple of days ago, I went to the store for a couple of things. Not a lot, so I didn't bring much money. Everything went fine until I got to the register, which is where this mess went down. We have the CB who just received her total, but oh no, she's a bit short. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was around 40 something. I was behind her and figured that what little extra cash I had might do some good, at least to get her out of there faster. So I offered to give her what I could to help with the total. CB happily accepted my offer, and I gave her the biggest bill I had spare, a 20. Then I saw the smile wash off of CB's face.
Where is the rest?
I was confused because, well, what do you mean the rest? That's half of the total as is. I'm sorry, the rest? CB started to get irritated and raised her voice.
Yes, the rest. The rest of the money. You only gave me a 20.
It was at this point I had realized what situation I had just waddled myself into, and all I could do was hope that Voicey would come to my aid with his stock photos. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. I tried to keep quiet and wait for CB to finish her rant, but she just started complaining about my silence instead. I'm sorry, but I don't have any more money to give you.
Yes you do, you liar. I saw it when you opened your wallet.
I tried to explain to her that I needed the rest to pay for my groceries, but I could barely get a word in at this point. Thankfully, this is when the cashier chimed in. "Ma'am, please calm down, or I'll have to ask you to pay for your things and leave."
No, I'm not leaving. Not until I get the rest of the money. You owe it to me for being so selfish.
I was just waiting for CB to demand the manager at this point. "Ma'am, this is your last warning. If you do not lower your voice and pay for your things, I'll be forced to call security and cancel this transaction." After that threat, CB started to quiet down a little. Then something I was not expecting happened.
I don't need your money. I bet you got it illegally anyway.
And she threw the 20 onto the ground at my feet. Tiny bit of malicious compliance here. You sure? Okay. And I put the 20 back in my wallet.
No, wait a minute.
Nope, I'm not offering it back to you. Maybe if you weren't so greedy and just accepted paying half, you'd still have the 20. CB was visibly ticked off. Oh, but then something happened that infuriates me to this day. CB sighed and took a couple crumpled up bills from her back pocket and paid. She had the money the whole time. She was just hoping someone would be kind enough to help her. I so badly wanted to start up another screaming match with her after witnessing that. CB picked up her bags and walked out the door, and with CB gone, all was at peace with the world. How many more lives will be lost to entitlement? Only time will tell.
Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.